You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Gerardo Masariegos. So,
Hey guys, how y'all doing?
Gerardo, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do professionally.
Hey guys, so like you said, a little bit about me. I am an immigrant, sons of immigrants who moved to America at the age of 5 from Mexico. Um, Going through school, it was always a little different for me. One, I didn't speak the language at first. Grew up, now I speak it perfect. Graduated high school, and a little small secret about myself is that I am under something called DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, meaning that Obama granted us a 2-year permit to renew every 2 years that legally allows us to work and do everything, but Trump's trying to get rid of it. But anyways, so graduated high school, very insecure individual at that time, and I had a job. I went through a job, and I woke up one day and decided I didn't want to work for someone anymore, and my own started my first business. Didn't work out so well, and now I'm on my third business, two of which I still actively own and operate. And so that's what I do professionally. Started two businesses, and that's what I've been doing for a good while now.
Well, that was the short story of Gerardo in a practical 3 minutes. Now, but a lot of the stuff you were talking about, like I have friends that are from other countries. You know, I had the benefit in my life of being a minority. I am white, but I am from I work in a all Latina housekeeping staff. I work at a hotel, so I know what it's like to feel a little bit out of place. I have buddies that are Hispanic, and I tell you, when it comes to race, when it comes to color, when it comes to so many different things that always gets brought up, the only reason that it's held so damn accountable is the fact that there are some people out there that are not open-minded, and there's a hell of a lot of things that we keep bringing back to kind of keep focusing on the point that race is a thing. Honestly, I have never, ever judged someone on how they look, on how they do whatever. If anything, I'm looking at like their clothes. Like, does he have money? Does he need help? Does he need something, or elderly age? But when it comes to color, like, I'm not going to deny myself conversation with someone that I find interesting or just someone that I want to talk to. I mean, it's not going to close off my mind about anything. I think when it comes to a lot of things of what it comes to be a minority, especially like if you're from another country coming here, there are so many benefits, first of all, from being from another country and coming to America. I podcasted with Romanian people that I work with. I've podcasted with Bulgarians, Serbians, everything under the sun, everything from Jamaica, Brazil, all this stuff. And the only thing I can tell you about is we all think around the same basis, that we're all constantly walking around with a mask in society nowadays. No, everyone's afraid to show who they truly are. Everyone's afraid that someone's constantly judging them. And it's true. We live in a judge world. It seems like everybody has an opinion on something about what someone else should be doing, but never really looking into the facts of maybe they need to change something in their own life.
Yes, I agree completely, and that's something that I've been doing myself. That's been my journey for the past couple of years, man. Um, I looked in myself and I saw there were so many things wrong with myself. Like I said, I audited myself, and I have been on a pursuit of nothing but self improvement for the past couple of days. Like I mentioned to you this morning, I go to jujitsu. I've been actively training jujitsu for about the past 3 years. It's something that I started to help get me out of my comfort zone. Um, I used to be a little introverted back in the day, and this has really helped me to open up and talk to people, build a camaraderie with the other athletes that are in there. Even as far as going out and competing in fights, which is something that's very scary for a lot of people, but that's something that's helped me to be able to see in other people's views, which I totally agree. I mean, some people judge others based on skin color or, like you said, clothing. But man, in the sport of jiu-jitsu, you see so many different things. You see high income, low income, middle class, um, elderly, young people. It's crazy the diversity you see in there, and it's something that I can relate to, since I just got out of it. But I totally agree with you, man. We need to work on ourselves and fix ourselves before we can go out and judge others. It's like, I don't know if you've heard of Jordan Peterson, but he has a rule. One of his 42 rules is that, before how is it? Make sure your house is in a perfect is a perfect household before you go out and judge others, which has a very deep meaning to me.
Well, it's Abraham Lincoln said it best, I think, is on the concept of a house divided cannot stand. You know, we have a hell of a lot of problems and shit going on in this country, and that we always it pisses me off, and I hate using this example, but we always look at someone that's in a worse place than we are. With judgment, you know, America may be bad, but you know, Africa, they have it worse. All right, well, why are we doing that? Okay, we're just weaning off the problem. We're not focusing on it. We're just comparing to another country and then totally just glossing over the problem. Not even in our country. If there's a problem going on in your life, well, you know, America's suffering from, you know, the world is suffering from a lot. Well, you know what? There's a lot of messed up stuff going on in this world, and all you're doing is glossing over the fact that you have something wrong in yourself that you're not comfortable with. So you're going to pick on somebody else. I can tell you right now that, you know, it starts off at a young age. You know, you said it in the beginning, school, you know, introvert. I was an introvert for the longest time. You want to know why? It's because I hate people. And they say, wait, hold on a second. You hate people, but you podcast with people? I'm like, yes. You know why? Because in this conversation, everyone thinks it's going to be an interview. Everyone thinks they're going to come in here and it's going to be directed towards them the whole time. If you want to talk about you, sure, let's do it. But it's a conversation. We could talk about Bigfoot 1 minute. We could talk about anything you want. It's the idea that in the beginning, you're so like up on guard. And during the conversation, you see the real you break out, the one that I'm interested in, the one that I know is deep down in all of us, the one that's behind the mask. You know, we walk around, and when I say I hate people, I hate the people that we're walking around and showing today because they're hurt, nulled individuals. They're structured off something you're not supposed to be structured on. You're supposed to be the gym that works 9 to 5. How about I want to get up at 2 a.m. and I want to look at the beach or the sunrise in the morning? Why is that a relaxation example? Why is that a thing? Why aren't people doing that more? It's because the world has pushed us into a comfortability spot. You're afraid to truly be free. You're afraid to express your opinions on the fear that it might hurt somebody out there, which isn't good standing. It definitely should be looked at. You definitely need to think twice before you say something. But someone looking at like, oh, you said you can't call them Latino now. You have to call them something else. No, we're all fucking people. Okay, we all
Exactly.
live this crazy ass life together, and it starts off in school. Like I was saying, we are confined to social groups. We're fine to find people that we click with. Oh, he dresses in all athletic apparel. He's probably an athlete. I'm an athlete. Might as well go over and talk to him just so we can connect. We do it at such a young age. I tell more people if they were open-minded to everybody. You know, I've talked to one of my good friends who's from, his whole family's from Honduras, Mexico. So we're sitting there talking, and he's just like, dude, it's completely different. People actually care about people there. And he just visited there recently. And I was like, it's true. We lost something along the way here. You know, we're all about stepping on the throat of somebody else to get to what we want. And I've tried my hardest, and I keep trying every single day to aspire to help others. It's not my duty. It's not my job. It's something that's in all of us in our human nature.
Correct, man. I feel like, now I can only speak from my experiences here in the U.S. because, like I said, I've been here since the age of 5. I have not left, but um, something that I feel is people try to identify with their I guess their financial group. For an example, I worked in the oil field for a good time, and before I became a supervisor in the oil field, I would hear other supervisors tell. There's one supervisor I remember. His name is they nicknamed him El Chapo because he's short. So
You got that
uh,
drug money.
I don't know about all that, man, but he he would go out and socialize with the regular workers, the laborers. And one of the other supervisors would tell him, dude, don't go out and talk to those guys are beneath us. We're supervisors. We're now top management in the company. Like don't associate with us. And he would tell us this stuff. And that kind of blew my mind. Like and in that environment, we were all Mexicans there, most of us being immigrants, and it blew my mind that he would tell them, like, dude, we're all the same. Just because you drive a fancy truck and you tell other people what to do, I mean, you think they're beneath you. That's the wrong type of thinking, and I think that's what's hurting a lot of people out there, is just because you have a particular job, just because you do a particular thing that maybe pays you more, or you do less work, does not define you as a better human being than the man next to you. Because even though I own my own company and I have a couple employees, I still socialize with them and joke around with them and try to create a good environment there, because without them, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And don't get me wrong, I'm still growing. I'm still very small, but I am thankful that they helped me, because if it wasn't for them, like I said, I would have to do everything by myself and I wouldn't get anywhere, because you need people to scale.
The sad part is we live in a world nowadays where for people to even get anything, they feel like they need a handout or they need help. And I tell people, like, I've learned through my experiences, you can't rely on somebody else to get your own stuff done. You have to be independent. You have to do your own things. And nowadays, for example, me setting up for a podcast, someone goes, I'll give you 20 minutes. And I'm like, 20, no, I'm sorry. It's already out of my wheelhouse. You're already dealing into the wrong thing here. I think you got the wrong idea what this is. This is conversations. This isn't something you're going to hop on, promote what you want to promote. But sadly, it's the norm to society nowadays. People feel like, I have this idea. I need to get out there, but I need help. Can I piggyback onto what you have? Can I piggyback onto this? Can I piggyback onto this? I'm like, I don't look at my views. I don't look at my watchers. I don't look at all these things. It's not saying I don't care about them. It's on the fact of I'm interested in the person I'm talking to. I've had real conversations with people that have gone hours sometimes. And the experiences and the things that I'm getting, if anything, it's just increasing my own happiness, increasing my own understanding on this world that we all live. I mean, you talked about it, going to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Okay, something you're doing for you for the past couple of years. That's a fucking chess match. Anybody that does wrestling or any type of Brazilian jiu-jitsu understands that you don't have to be big, you don't have to be small, you don't have to be fast, you don't have to be strong. It's a fucking chess match. There's one point you might slip up and next thing you know, you're screwed. I remember I did it for a brief amount of time. It just wasn't a super interesting to me, only on the concept of I was kind of in my high school years still experimenting with a little bit of the Mary J. And I became kind of lazy, but it was a way to kind of get out of my little video game enclosure. And I remember, I think the one thing that really turned me away was I went after this big guy I was going against, and I jammed my finger into the mat trying to do a leg pull. And freaking the pain I experienced from that, I was like, well, I don't want to feel this again. And now at my age I'm at now, even hearing that, I'm like, I did the biggest problem we all do today. We get hurt and we stop. We give up.
Yeah, man. I totally agree. I've broken my toe. I've jammed a couple fingers, man. Now I have to actively wear tape on all of my fingers because they hurt all the time. But it, I keep going. Right before I stopped going because I just started up again. I've been out for about 4 or 5 months, but right before I quit going, right before I launched this business, I had my last fight, and I had to drop about 30 pounds in 2 months to make this fight, just because I wanted to fight middleweight. It was a goal slash ego thing of mine that I wanted to do, and which I did it. I achieved it, but man, were there consequences. I went and competed. I had 4 matches that day. I lost horribly, all of them, every single one, because I dropped so much weight. I went in there. I was a little dehydrated. As soon as my first match started, I went in there with what I thought was a lot of energy. It was just adrenaline. We started. I had adrenaline dump, and man, I was exhausted after about 2 minutes. I couldn't keep up. It was just defend, defend, defend. The first couple were by submission. I couldn't really defend that well, and then it was just I got beat by points. That's something I've learned I will never do again. But I told my coach a couple of days after, I told him, Coach, I'm thinking about just quitting because I was beat so bad. I was humiliated, man. And it was something that was very hard for me. The girlfriend I had at the time was with me, and it felt horrible. But it's those little things that you have to do and fall on your ass, but you have to get back up and keep going. It's what defines you as a human, as a man, as whatever you want it to be. But it's something that we have to learn from. It's those failures that build us up. I mean, I'm back at it now. I kept training for a while, but I had to quit because of my business. But I'm back at it now, waking up at 4:30 every morning now and going to jujitsu because it's a discipline that I want to build, and I feel like it's going to make me stronger as a human and just as a man alone.
Yeah, there's so many things that we just don't even look at anymore. Like every movie, I'm pretty sure that we just look at the fascinating parts about it and not what the true thing is trying to teach, at least with a lot of the older movies. Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa, not to quote his crazy ass, but at the same time, he says it's not about how hard you get hit; it's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. You know, Jordan Belfort, don't judge me upon my winners, but judge me upon my losers because I have so few. You had to have those things. You had to have those random pop-ups in your life. You've had to experience. There's people, the most amazing people I've ever met, the most caring people I've ever met have experienced some shit, have experienced something, whether it was living in their car, whether it was fighting in a war, coming back with something gone, missing from them, if it was a part of their mind or if there was a part of their body. And you hear these things and how they're trying to incorporate in their life everyday meaning. And it sucks because the only time I've ever been close for me to understand what it means to be humbled or what it means to truly give a shit about life is when I've been in a near-death experience. It's like it only lasts 2 fucking weeks, and then you're off doing the same shit, eating a Taco Bell taco and freaking rolling on through with your life. It's like, no, you gotta. I only said Taco Bell because I like Taco Bell. I don't. I'm not a big fan of McDonald's, but like and I tell people like the only way you can ever get a message across is if you're yelling at somebody or if you're cracking a joke and using humor, because no one wants to pay attention when two people are just normally talking.
Man, I agree. So I don't know if you've heard, but that the most recent mass shooting was here in Odessa. It's the town that I live in. I've lived here for about over 10 years now. Um, it's definitely brought the community together. It's been a week since the mass shooting where 7 people were killed. But I feel like you said, man, it's not gonna last. People are starting to go back and doing the same things. People are starting to go out again. For a good while, everyone was staying home. And one thing I like though is there's a lot of billboards throughout the entire town who are promoting "You're loved," "We care about you," "Care about yourself," stuff like that. But just like you said, man, how long is it going to last before people go back and revert to doing the same thing, being selfish? Because I feel like, especially out here in this oil town, man, everyone's so selfish. Everyone thinks about money, 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 which don't get me wrong, money is very important, but it's not everything. And man, this is a subject that I've been talking to myself about. So the day it happened, I was with one of my friends who was actually helping me at my business, and I was telling her, man, all these people that had plans they were going to do later this afternoon, go see their kids, go see their spouse, go out for a movie, which the shooting ended at the movie theater, at our local movie theater. And all those people that were just going to go out and have fun, and seven of them died. One of them being a mail lady who was doing her job delivering mail when the guy came up on her and shot her down and stole her mail truck.
What?
Yes, man. He shot her down, stole the mail truck, was driving around in a minivan, a mail minivan, shooting people. One of my ex coworkers died, bro. Um, I quit at that company about 5 months ago, and I briefly met the guy, but he rolled up to him at a stoplight and shot him down. And all of this started because the guy got pulled over. He got fired from his trucking job that day, got pulled over, shot the cop, and went on a shooting spree. Um,
See,
yeah,
I
man.
think shootings are going to happen more and more now, more frequently, on this theory that we're becoming full as people. You know, we're full of everything. We're not processing anything properly when it comes to back in the day. When you had a rough day, what was the thing you did when you came home? You talked to somebody about it. You talked to a friend about it. You talked to somebody. There was a connectivity there. Now people looked at social media as Facebook, Twitter, all these things to post about how crappy their day is or just complain about something, and they're not getting the same feedback. They're not getting that actual social connection. You need in your everyday life social connectivity. You need to talk to someone. It's the game Sims, basically. You have a social skill that needs to be filled. It diminishes slower than the rest. You can go introvert for a long time, but there's going to be a point in your life where you're like, holy shit, I haven't talked to anybody for 4 years. I definitely need to talk to someone. And then when you do, it feels like a hug for your soul. It feels like someone literally just like cleansed you. You're like, wow, there's a lot of stuff there that just impacted me on. Like it's like eating a freaking McFlurry from McDonald's, the legendary McFlurry that the machine's never working. Like you get it. You're like, oh, this is what I've missed. This is God itself. And I'm like, we need that nowadays. Family dinners don't happen anymore, especially in an average American household. They happen with Hispanic families where they all, it's they're all still connected to their family. It happens with Black families. It happens with all these other things, and that's when I say that's the only time race ever exists, because they know their common values. They know what fucking it means to connect to one another. An average American family, it happens 3 out of the 7 days a week. They have a sit down, and it's a quick 5 minute thing. No, when I was a kid, and I'm only 21 years old, and I've watched it change in that short amount of time. It was, we're gonna sit here, no phones, anything like that, and we're gonna eat dinner. We're gonna eat whatever the hell is in front of us, whether it's mashed potatoes or whatever. Nowadays, I see my little cousin growing up, 5, 6, and I see him and he's on his phone, and my aunt is just letting him be on his phone. She's on her phone, nobody's talking. I'm like, what's going on? What's happening?
Man, I agree with you there, and on the subject of no one talks about stuff. As a man myself, and in general, I feel like um, it's I guess it's a social norm now about man up, don't talk about your feelings and stuff like that. And man, we as men, we tend to bottle a lot of things up, me included. We bottle a lot of stuff up, and I feel like that's where, like you said, these shootings start happening. We bottle so many things up, and we don't talk to anybody. We don't talk to our friends. Sometimes if we have a spouse, we don't talk to them about it, and everything bottles up until it explodes. And something that I've recently discovered is a thing called journaling, which also I have a counselor that I go and speak to. um but I like to journal now. I go out. I like to go to the duck pond either early in the morning or in the afternoon, and I write out everything that I'm feeling, anything that comes to mind, anything at all. Even if I'm writing something, and then all of a sudden I think, man, this is weird. Why am I writing about my thoughts? I even write that down. And one thing that I truly do that I've discovered has helped me a lot. I ask myself these deep questions while I'm journaling. And when you ask your brain something, it answers it for you, and it has not failed me. I was falling in a rut just about a month ago, starting to feel a little depressed, started feeling bad about myself, and I went to my local duck pond, and I was out there for hours just writing. And I asked myself, why is this happening to me? How can I get out of it? My brain immediately started answering back. You haven't worked out in a long time. Get back into jujitsu. You're starting to you get out of work late, but you're waking up super late. Start waking up earlier, go work out, do everything you know you need to do, quit wasting time and procrastinating. Bro, since I started doing that, I've been feeling a lot better about myself. I've been working out, getting a lot of things done, and I even talk about my own feelings in there. I don't have to share that with anyone. That's something I do for myself. but that has helped me tremendously. Plus, going to speak to my counselor, which I feel like is getting me, pushing me past my a level where I'm at now, my plateau mentally, and helping me out with business, is getting me a little bit more organized. I get to speak to someone, and sometimes I even cry in there, just the stuff I've bottled in. And like you said, man, it's like a big hug that just, it's so stress relieving, and it helps. And it's amazing. It's something that us as men should do more of.
Well, you know why
Even though,
we don't do that, right?
why is that?
It's not a manly thing. You know, we've been
Exactly.
taught that being a man means you can't show emotion, you can't show the things that bring you down. And I'm like, no, we don't need to look at men, women, whatever. Yes, there's those differences, but at the same time, you have to look at, we're people. We all experience a whirlwind of emotions. You can be the guy that shoves it down. Let me tell you something. I've never seen my great grandfather cry. I never ever want anybody to experience the heartbreak I felt from that. I watched him put his wife in the ground of 75 years. And let me tell you something. When I saw somebody break, I realized this guy that has never showed pain, that literally got his hand jammed in a either in a door, anything, the weirdest shit that could ever hurt a person that would make any guy tear up, you know, he would never show. And then I saw that and I was like, I don't know what just happened. Like, I was messed up for weeks after that. And it was to show that he even told me, he goes, people cry and we bottle it up and we hold in all this emotion. And sometimes it just breaks out. And I said, that's true. That's why you're experiencing people that have to outbreak in a way of shooting up a store, doing these types of things. That person may not even be violent, but the idea is they feel like they can't be heard. And the only action they can ever take is something that is so dramatic, whether it's cursing, whether it's screaming, whether it's having a temper tantrum, or just breaking down crying. For someone to stop literally in their tracks and look at you and be like, do you need help? Do you need someone to talk to? Kyle, I think his name is either Kyle Hines or Kevin Hines. The guy that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. I did a psychology documentary on that guy. Well, no, I didn't write one, but I was listening to one that he did, and he was talking about how on the bus he's crying on his way to this spot where he's going to jump, and nobody even took the time out of their day to say hi to him or ask him if he was okay. They just sat there and ignored him. And he was like, if someone would have just said something to me, I would not have taken the steps off the bus to do this. And he wanted to incorporate that and just let that sink into people's heads, just to wake them up from this life they're living of comfortability and realize we're all here together. You know, there's going to be people that you're not going to like. There's going to be people that you do like. You have to try and find common ground with everyone. You have to understand that if someone's pissed off, they're experiencing something. And you don't have to be a girl to write in a journal. I mean, I used to do that when I was little and I stopped because I got a little bit old of writing, but sometimes that's the best way for you to look at your life in a whole new perspective.
Man, I totally agree, and it's kind of heartbreaking, like you, that just to know that he stated if someone would have just talked to him, he wouldn't have taken those steps off the bus. But it's always until something dramatic happens that we take action. But how long does that action continue to stay until we stop doing it? If that makes sense, it's something that my one of my old mentors told me that kind of it was instilled in me. Be kind to everyone. Like you said, we never know what someone's going through, and man, it's just kind of mind blowing. You see someone in so much pain, but and I guess I could see it from the point of view of the people, the passengers on the bus. They
Well, they
don't want
thought he
to.
was some crazy person just randomly having it. Well, I mean, how many times nowadays someone's crying in a store and it's over something like, I didn't get my double pump espresso frappuccino with extra, 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 extra. What are you talking about? Oh, she's crying about her Starbucks order. It's like, oh my God, that's the biggest problem in her life right now, where you don't want to give a shit about that. That's not a problem you should care about. But when you see somebody crying, you shouldn't assume it's over a Starbucks Frappuccino or Panera Bread mistake or something. You should look at them and be like, maybe they're going through something right now. I had these times when I was a kid watching like a car get repossessed, watching these things that impacted me in a way. And that doesn't mean my life was all bad, but there were times I wanted to talk about it. There were times like a parent had to sit down and be like, we need to understand what's going on and we need to let you know from our perspective as well. You have to see it from both sides. You have to choose when someone is really, really hurt and someone is just complaining about their day. Well, nowadays, everyone, it seems like you bring up a conversation. Hey, Jim, how you doing? Hey, my name's Jim. I'm a Democrat, and this is not happening in my life. This is where my life has been. My life is a complete lie. I live in a sham. I live in a. It's like, whoa, you're giving me a lot of information just when I said hello. Like nowadays, I would kill. I would kill. Yes, murderous intent for just the concept of a nice weather chat. I mean, how many times nowadays you strike up a conversation, someone's just bitching about their day, and I'm like, you're not getting it back then. You have to know me before you can sit there and express yourself to me. I'm more than happy to listen to you, even if you're a stranger. But if we can't just be like, hey, how are you doing? I'm doing all right, man. How are you doing? Then we find what's going on. We find out, and I will truly care. But if you're going to sit there and feed me a bunch of information, I'll be like, well, it was good talking to you, man. You're like, but I just told you I had all these problems and I'm asking your help. And you're just walking away waving at them.
Yeah. It's I feel like it's a whole social issue. It's how can I put this into words? It's man, you kind of stumped me there.
Well, it's literally like I had these kids that come to my work. They're my age, but they're coming from schools all over the globe, from Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia, and they told me like, "You're the one thing about America that we understand about the people that is truly amazing." And I'm like, "What?" Like when you ask us about our day, you really give a shit. And I was like, "Yeah." Because so many people here want to give you some dumbass nickname. If your name is Christo, they call you Chris. No, fuck that. I'm calling you Christo. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to respect you the way I would want to be respected if I was coming into your country. And they say, yeah, like we love America. It's pretty awesome. And I'm like, yeah, there are things about it that is amazing. And they say, but the people here, man, we have people that are two-faced, but it's not as common down here. And I heard that and I was like, wow. Like I sat down with one of the kids. His name is Andrew, but his real name is Andrew. I forgot how it's pronounced. He has a weird, funky, like sounds like a little bit of mustard on the back end of it. But he told me he was like, "Would you like some coffee?" And I was like, dude, you're drinking out of that coffee. It's an open top coffee, and your germs are kind of in that. And he goes, "Oh, okay," and he starts drinking it. And I hear people at my work that go, "Well, he's a fucking weirdo." I'm like, "No, he's not." So I sat down with him and I said, "Dude, I took psychology class. I understand you probably come from a home where you didn't have much and everything you had was shared amongst your siblings and your family, correct?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's why you're open with people." He goes, "That's exactly why." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're not weird, man. You're a human."
Yeah, yeah, man. Like especially with different cultures, sometimes we might not understand it. And or their background, like you said, with his family, they didn't have much. And it's something they're accustomed to and they're just trying to be friendly and reach out, but everyone here is so judgmental. That's something I've noticed. A good buddy of mine who just moved back to Buffalo, he lived here in Texas for a couple of years, but he told me it was so different, that the people here were so different, and how he just hated it here, which to me it seems normal. But he talked about how up north everyone's a lot nicer and more friendlier, and down here a lot of people are rude. And I feel like it might be just this area, because down here it's so oil filled, so just so oil filled, man. And if you don't work in the oil field, it's like you're beneath a lot of people for some weird reason.
Well,
People think
just
that way.
the air, it seems like it's so much thicker. It's only thicker because it feels like it's intense. Like everybody's kind of waiting for you to say the wrong thing so they can judge you upon it.
Yes, yes, I highly agree with you there. And this is just a personal opinion of mine, but I feel like people get that way is because they get comfortable, and then they get afraid to reach out, it's a whole comfort zone thing, and that's been my biggest issue. Something I've been working on myself is I feel like when someone gets in their comfort zone and they get only around people that they're comfortable with, they don't like associating with other other open-minded people or people of other religions, backgrounds, ethnicities, or whatever it is. And we only wanna talk and be around what we're used to.
Yeah, well, that's not even a personal opinion. That's a fact, man. It's just nowadays we want to associate. We're like, oh, you don't believe in this? Well, I know people that do believe in what I believe in. It's like we choose to associate with things that are the same as us and the same concept of us because we don't want to have that second thought. We don't want to have that argument. We don't want to feel like we're wrong. We sometimes we're meant to be wrong. You're supposed to learn from your mistakes, but in a world where you structure your life around no mistakes because you choose to live around the people that think that what you think is the truth, you're living a closed-minded reality. You think everything's going to be the exact way you think it is, and so as your friends think it is. It's you can't live like that because you're meant to be wrong. You're supposed to learn from those things. I've been a kid. I've made mistakes. I still make mistakes every single day. I should have zigged when I should have zagged, and I learn from them. I understand those things. I look back at them. You writing in a journal can be the same thing as what people should start doing. They need to look at these problems in their life, these inflictions on themselves, and put it all down on paper. Let me tell you, it's a hell of a lot easier to read than it is just to sit there and let it bottle up into your mind, man. You got to express it somehow.
Exactly. And when you put it down on paper, it makes it more real to me, at least it does, because I can come back and read it. And it's the truth because you wrote it down yourself. And then you can ask yourself, well, how do I fix this? How do I fix it? How can I overcome it? Because now I feel like nowadays we don't how can I say it? We don't hear people to listen. We hear people to
Get our point across.
respond. Like
Yeah.
if you're telling me something, I want to contradict you or correct you on something instead of listening to your point of view and analyzing it and be like, well, you know what, he may have a point because every single person out here in this world knows something that we don't.
Yeah, and
And
it's the same concept. You're gonna sit there and tell me about how bad your day was, and I'm just gonna sit here and wait until I get to wait till you finish. Are you done? Okay, cool. Well, let me tell you about my day. Let me tell you about all the greedy shit. And then you're just gonna wait till you can project your problems, not even listening to what that actual person's saying. The person could have just been like, you know what I'm really sick and tired of is people that just complain about their problems. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. Well, you know what? My day was so much shit. I had all this stuff to get. It's like, whoa, did you even listen to what I said? Like I said, I don't want to listen to it. I just want to have conversation again. And we just choose to hear what we want to hear just so we can voice our little problems and concerns. I'm like, if more people just took the time to have a regular conversation and get to know somebody, then they'll find that the person will actually truly care about them. Because having millions of people that are just listening to you complain about your problems might feel like it's taking the edge off, but it's going to keep going up in numbers. You're going to need more people to listen to you complain. You need that person in your life that you can talk to and truly feel like it resonated or went through someone's head.
exactly, man. Like I said earlier, we don't listen to understand, we listen to rebuttal and or one up each other. And finding that person, even if you have to pay them, an example as a counselor, it will help you so much in life. It's crazy how much it's helped me and how grateful I am because of everything that I've done in my life, that all the failures, all the bumps in the road that have caused great pain for me, but I've been able to speak to someone about it that has helped me through it. And it's just crazy, but it's also mind-blowing to me that people, when I tell people that I have a counselor, they automatically look at me like I'm weird or I'm crazy or something. It's like, man, do you not understand the mental health that this helps with? Like how healthier you get mentally when you have someone like this?
They should look at how insane it is that you've had to come to a point where you either have to pay somebody to listen to you and just talk to you, or you have to go to someone specifically meant in that job. The fact that that's even a job, I think it's awesome, but I think that's so weird because that just shows people don't care about one another anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. It's Facebook is bringing us closer, but at the same time, it's spreading us apart.
You can't put belief in these social technology things that we have from media, thinking that it's going to be your cure all, fix all to all your problems. And we live religiously by that notion that they fix everything for us, every problem, everything going wrong in our lives. Nothing's ever going to truly get done. Putting up a Facebook post complaining about something is not going to do anything. You need to work on that. You need to fix it yourself.
Exactly. Exactly, bro. It's one thing that I preach a lot is everything that happens to us in life is our fault, whether it's good or bad. Everyone wants to blame someone else. If I do bad in business, it wasn't because someone gave me a crooked contract. It wasn't because someone cheated me. It was because I allowed that person to cheat me. I allowed that person to give me a bad contract, whatever it is. Because one, maybe I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't hire a lawyer to read it for me. I didn't someone that properly knows what to do. I I haven't built up the knowledge to learn how to see someone when they're lying to me. Whatever the case is, it's always, like I said, everything we do in life is our fault, whether it's good or bad. If I build a very successful business, it's all my fault because I put in the work, I gained the knowledge, I did everything I had to do to be able to scale up and get it to where it's at. But at the same point, if I build a business and it completely fails, it's also my fault. Anything I do, whether I gain weight or lose weight, it is my fault. But no one wants to take responsibility anymore. They want to blame it on someone else. It's always someone else's fault. It's always technology's fault. It's always this weight loss pill that's supposed to make me just shred the pounds off didn't work for me, whatever. No one wants to put in the work. No one wants to take action for what it is that they're doing or trying to achieve. Everyone wants the easy route, but that easy route doesn't exist. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems happening here in the US is everyone wants it so easy. Like you said earlier, everyone wants a handout, but man, it doesn't work that way. I've been going through this myself. I've been working hard for a long time now. I've only had maybe 1 or 2 days off in the past three or 4 months. And it's crazy, man, how people think I'm insane because I've been working so hard, but they just don't understand or realize the type of dream that I have. And if I don't succeed, it's my fault. And I will take that responsibility and I acknowledge it because if I don't do what I want to achieve, it's my fault. Nobody else's.
The problem is nobody ever wants to pay the piper anymore. We just want to, when the bill comes, we want to cut out and run. And sadly, people choose to go the wrong way with this on the fact if we choose to, older generations trying to put themselves into younger people. This is how you're supposed to structure your life. This is it's like, no, you're supposed to understand that you set your life out for the problems you have now. If you're struggling, if you're doing all these things, yeah, there's random things that pop up and happen, but you have to learn from your mistakes, and parting upon wisdom can't be forced down someone's throat, because if you start doing that, someone like me, that's a kind of, when someone starts telling them what to do, I immediately turn off because I have a problem with authority. You have to respect me as an individual, come from that angle, understand that that's how you got to get your message across if you have one. Realize that person has the keys to their own car. They're going to drive it whichever direction they want to go.
Exactly. Yes. I agree with you. Go ahead.
It's difficult for people to hear that and for it to actually sink in, because the problem is we feel like we have so much wisdom, especially at older generations, to share, which they do. But you have to realize, from the younger you have to realize that, at your age, nobody could tell you what to do. And sadly, people try and hit it from the angle that's It's a wrong way of doing things. It's a wrong way we've been as people for a long time. We're choosing to let these problems, let these things be the main focus on our life when really there's so much beautiful things out there we should be focusing on rather than that.
Yes, just enjoying life in general. But I totally agree with you. Back when I was younger, my parents, school teachers, etc., would tell me to read more, and I was like, man, I don't need to read. The hell do I need to read for? And now I regret it. Now that's all I do is read or listen to audiobooks because, like you said, there's so much knowledge to be learned from those things, and the older generations, as a millennial, they see us as this evil thing or whatever. However people see us, they joke about us so much, but it's crazy. The world is evolving and we're evolving along with it. But the older generations, again, back to what I was saying earlier, they don't want to learn from us because everyone can teach the other person something, right? And the world is changing, and it's if you don't get with the times, you're going to get left behind.
It's
I don't
a
know how to.
it's a world of constant motion, and sadly, we feel like our opinion is so damn high valued. I'm like, your opinion does matter, but sometimes that worked for you, it's not going to work for somebody else. It's We all have this life that we're living, and advice, anything is beneficial to everything, but you can't sit there and force it down someone's throat and expect them to give you the time that you actually want them to give you just to follow what you're saying. Nobody's going to listen to you if you're barking orders at them. It doesn't work that way. As people, being stubborn, it seems like you have to force it into somebody's head. No, it's about understanding they're going to make that mistake. I've given thousands of friends advice on things they shouldn't be doing, and they go ahead and do it, and then they come back to me,
Exactly.
should have listened to you. Well, oh, you didn't, and you learned from yourself. Maybe next time you'll listen to something I say. That's okay, because I realize you have to take that road. You have to take that journey. And then you sit there and get upset with yourself for the fact that, man, I just keep on not listening to you. It's like, well, dude, that's you, man. You're everything you're experiencing, all the problems I warned you about it before, and you still keep falling in the same pit hole. You can keep making the same mistake a million times. It's never going to make it correct. You got to learn what you did wrong, and you got to be better than that.
Yeah, man. All those falls on our ass is what builds us back up.
There's if anything anybody can take away from this, and I like I said, I appreciate you being on my podcast, man. I mean, the fact that I've been able to talk to you, and we're from two completely different places, two completely different lives, and we still think around the same. It's the concept of, to be better, you're supposed to learn from your mistakes, and in a world where we totally don't even see what our mistakes are and we keep making them, you're going to keep wondering why your life is crap. Well, your life's crap because you're not building yourself up from those mistakes. You're falling into the same pit holes every single day.
Yes, man, I agree with you there, and I appreciate you allowing me to be on your podcast, by the way. But something that my jujitsu coach told me, that my mentor told me, and I kept hearing it over and over again. If we have to look at our five closest friends or associates, because that's an average of who we are. And it's true. If you keep hanging around people that are doing the same mistakes and not learning, well, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. But if you cut those people out and you associate with people who are doing bigger and better things, if you associate with people who are working on themselves, working out, eating clean, well, then guess what? You're going to start working out. You're going to start eating clean, and it's going to be better for you in the long run. It's going to like have compound interest on you, and it's going to help you build. But no one wants to get out again of that social norm and pursue other things, because again, it's back into our comfort zones. We don't want to experience new because we all fear the unknown.
Well, sometimes the unknown is the one thing we need to focus on knowing, man. That's the thing that's holding us back. That's the thing that's making us so miserable all the time, is because we choose to live a life of comfortability and not a life of satisfaction anymore, not one that is going to turn you into the person you're meant to be. And it sucks, but I mean, even me saying it, I need to be doing that myself too. And it's all about experiencing whatever life you choose to experience. And at the end, you can't sit there and say that your life was crap. Your life was not given to you. Your life was your own. You have to choose which way you want to take it. And if you choose to live a life of comfortability and be miserable at the end, then that's one I choose not to take, man.
Exactly. I agree with you there. A little short story about myself is about a month ago, I had the opportunity to take my first business trip to a business conference in Vegas. I have never been to Vegas. Um, I was gonna have to take a plane. I was going by myself for a week to Vegas for this business conference. And I've been on planes before. I've jumped out of 3 planes. I've gone skydiving 3 times. For some reason, I had such a big fear on going. I kept having thoughts of, man, what if this plane goes down? I don't know why I was thinking that, but I kept thinking about that. And it was just something on the back of my mind. Honestly, now that I look back at it, I think it was just fear of going there by myself because it was the unknown. But I don't know if I can cuss, bro. So bleep this
Go
out if
ahead,
I
dude.
can.
Go ahead.
Something that I tell myself every single time that I start getting scared about something is just quit being a little bitch about it and just do it. And so I kept telling that to myself over and over again. And I remember the day finally came. I woke up. I was pretty nervous about the entire day, and I kept looking for reasons and to not go. I kept looking for excuses. I kept telling myself, man, it's just money. I've already paid for the hotel and the flight. It's just money. I'll make it back up, whatever, this and that. And then the time came to where I had to go and open up my business. I went there. I waited for my employees to show up. As soon as they showed up, it was either now or never. Take the 5 hour drive to Dallas, hop on that plane and go to Vegas, or stay there for the rest of the day. And I told my employees, I was like, all right, guys, I'm going, and let me know if y'all need anything. I'll have my phone on me at all times, this and that. I jumped in my car and drove those 5 hours, nervous the entire time, but I did it. Another thing that while I was there, I found out that there's a place you can go bungee jumping. Dude, I am terrified of bungee jumping for some strange reason, although I've gone skydiving 3 times. But I told myself, I have the opportunity. My comfort zone is to not jump off that ledge, but I have to do it. So that night, I went, signed up, paid them the amount it was. I remember standing over that ledge, full harness on, every explaining to me what's gonna happen. And he tells me, I'm gonna start counting down 3, 2, 1, jump. I went on that ledge. You go on that ledge, they close the door behind you, and you look down and you see how high you are. It was like 800 and something feet. And that oh shit feeling hits you. And it's like, man, am I really doing this? I can still back out. What am I gonna do? I could feel the wind. I'm looking down, holding onto the ledge, and then I hear the guy, 3. And I just think, fuck,
Yeah.
I'm backing out. Go ahead.
I said, yeah, like that. Sometimes that moment, that fuck moment, like you have to realize, like, shit, I'm here at the ledge. It's time to go. And you got to realize you can sit there and back away like whatever you want. You want to back out. You got to take that in bigger steps. You got to see as I just got to do this. Whatever happens, happens. Sometimes you got to take that leap, man. And a lot of people don't want to take that leap because they're afraid they're going to fail. And I'm like, that's the point of failing. You're supposed to realize what you can do to get better. There's a
Ex-
difference between a rope breaking and you falling and plummeting to your death. If that's what happens, then that's what happens. I remember
exactly.
Honey Smacks had a salmonella poisoning, okay? And I bought a box 2 days before it happened. So they took all of it off the shelves. I basically had like the last like box and I was eating it. And like my mom was like, it's just making you sick. Why are you going to keep taking it? I'm like, look, I know the risks and I love Honey Smacks. If it's as simple as that, that was a win in my category. Even though I got sick from it, it doesn't matter. I realize I'm paying the price for what I'm doing. And you know what? You have to realize in bigger strides when it comes to the bigger picture of things, not my dumb example. You have to, when you see an opportunity, take it because it might not happen again.
Yes, exactly. Don't fall victim to missed opportunities because you will regret it. And that's my biggest thing. That's the whole reason why I went bungee jumping, because I didn't want to look back in life and say, dude, I had that opportunity to overcome that fear and I regret not taking it. That's exactly why I do everything that I do, is because my biggest fear in life is regret. Just talking about this, man, is like pumping me up. I'm starting to feel goosebumps, everything. This is so exciting for me. And so the guy's counting down, he's at 3, and I have that fuck moment. It gets down to 2, I stick 1 foot out. I have 1 foot hanging out, 1 foot on the ledge. And again, the thought hits me, back out, back out. Don't do this. This can be risky. The rope can snap. And then he gets to 1. In that split instant, I had that thought, quit being a bitch and just fucking go. I jumped. I jumped. I did not look down. I looked up. I was trying to look up, look at the whole skyline of Vegas, and I forced myself to smile as I was going down, because right at the ledge of fear, as soon as you jump, it's just bliss. It was so beautiful, man. I can't describe to you how amazing that feeling was, knowing that I overcame that fear, and it was an amazing opportunity that I will absolutely do again. It was so much fun, but I was scared right before I jumped. I forced myself to smile. I read something back in the day that it's a psychological thing. You force yourself to smile and it makes you feel better about what you're doing. So I did it. I went all the way down smiling, and then it came time to where the end of the rope hits, and then they let you down slowly, and I was like, wow, I just fucking did this. Something that I'm super scared about. I literally patted myself in the back for it. And it's just such an amazing feeling. It's like dopamine gets released in your brain. One, I love adrenaline. I love adrenaline. And it's just, oh man, I don't know how to put it into words, but it was amazing.
Well,
Something that,
that psychological thing you're talking about, smiling, and it kind of takes out the bad of what you're doing. For people out there, it does not mean go kill a family and smile while you're doing it. It just means when you're experiencing something that is complete danger, that is complete something you're afraid of doing, you need to realize that that moment of scared can hold back a complete change in experience on life, just in that little brief moment that holds you back. Sometimes the things that hold you back keep you from the most beautiful things ever, and you have to realize that. Why do we touch roses and we love roses, and they're the most beautiful flower you can think of, usually, like in movies all the time, knowing that it has thorns, knowing that it has something that can hurt you? It's because life is going to hurt you, but you pay the price for what? You pay the price for beauty. You pay the price. You have to realize there is a price on everything. That coffee you had, it's not going to be good for your heart, but it keeps you up. You're paying a price, okay? That cigarette you suck down, it might release some stress, it might whatever the hell it's going to do, but it takes years off your life. It hurts your lungs. You realize there's a price you pay when something you do, and you have to end up paying the price for it. You have to understand it's nobody's fault but your own. And taking a leap, taking something, that minute of fear is going to hold back a lifetime of happiness.
yes, man, having that job you hate, being at the job you hate is paying the price of happiness, of fulfillment. What if you want to go out and, in my case, start a company or go work for a nonprofit or go travel and do small jobs throughout the world, whatever it is that you want to do? You're paying the price of staying at your job and living comfortably when you could quit and go out and do the stuff you want. For me, for my example, um, I worked in the oil field for a couple months, knowing that I hated it, but it was what I could do to raise the capital to invest in the small business I have now. So I did whatever I could, saved up the money. The time came to quit, and again, I had that oh shit moment. Like, I am about to quit this job. I won't have secure money coming in anymore, a weekly paycheck. Now it is all up to me. on how I make the money. It is all up to me on doing this. So do I want to take this risk? Well, before I decided to quit, I forced myself to go out and buy the equipment I needed. I forced myself to buy everything that I needed to have in order to run my business. So I had to take that risk because I already had everything in order to start. I forced myself to quit. I called the manager and told him, "Look, man, you've been good to me, so I'm giving you a week's notice. But at the end of the week, I'm gone to start this." I have not looked back. I have not looked back once, nor have I regretted not quitting. I quit my job. I've worked a lot harder because it's my business, but it's so more fulfilling. It's my money. I'm the one raising all of it. And it is, man, it's the best feeling in the world you can have because it's something that you want to do. On the other side of fear is happiness. On the other side of failure is success. Those are the things you have to do in order to achieve what it is you want in life. But people won't do that because of what? Because of their comfort zone.
I'll take it back to one of my motivational posters I was staring at while all the times I was in detention. You know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you have to understand that if you take a shot, there's going to be a fail aspect to it, but don't hold that fail in such high possibility. Realize that there's a chance you're going to become something and you can. And I want to give you here a minute, man, just to be able to, if you have any words you want to share out of everything we've said here to people out there that are feeling like their life is just comfortable and nothing is ever possible, their dreams are just dreams, it's never going to be anything, what would you have to say to these people?
Get out of your comfort zone. If you have to start small, but take bigger leaps. If you're afraid to go bungee jumping, go fucking bungee jumping. If you're afraid to quit your job because it's secure income, look for other ways to get income and quit your job to do what it is you want to do because regret is the biggest thing in life. I don't want to die with regret in my eyes. So I take all the chances I have now, especially that I'm young. Do it, just do it. Take action. Action is king.
I just realized in talking to you that all that cartoons that I was afraid of, quicksand, all the things I thought were going to be a giant problem when I became an adult, the quicksand is the comfortability we set ourselves out for. We're all falling through that quicksand that we've been warned so much about. And we got to choose to overcome that. I mean, Indiana Jones taught us, look for a freaking rope or a stick, pull yourself out. You have this opportunity and you need to take it. And I want to thank you so much, Gerardo, for being on my podcast, man. It's been an amazing talk with you. And if anything, anybody could take anything away, it's about that motivation. Anything you want to do, it's there if you need it, but you need to understand that you're going to be the only person that can change the things happening in your life, and sitting in a life of comfortability and complaining about them is not going to do a damn thing.
Exactly. Out of the blank, it was amazing being on your podcast. We are in the greatest nation in the world that gives us every opportunity to do what we want to do. We just need to build that knowledge on how to do it and start taking action. It was amazing being on here.